the battle of the grand finalists that haven't won a game yet. What an Easter Thursday. Let's get into it. So, we are back, another preview, and this game, man, if you had told anyone at the start of the season that this game would be big, huge, but not because it's a grand final rematch. That grand final seems so long ago now. It's huge because none of these bloody teams have won a match. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that the Pies and the Lions haven't won a match yet. And Sir Swamp Thing on Twitter said that no grand finalists. So since the Sydney game when we lost as well, no two grand finalists have gone with no wins in the opening two rounds or whatever it was. So we're history makers. So let's get that out of the way, which is huge for us, right? Always making history, the Pies. But this game has so much on the line. It literally has seasons on the line. I think more our season than Brisbane's season because we've already lost 3 in a row. So if Brisbane lose this one, they've just lost 3 in a row. If we lose this one, we've lost 4 in a row. And then we take on Hawthorn the next week. So it is a huge game, huge ramifications. And, you know, you don't need me to sort of tell you that it's going to be a bloody big game. But it is a new game, right? We've dwelled on that St Kilda loss for too long. And as soon as the St Kilda loss happened and we were going into, you know, the weekend, so the St Kilda loss happened on Thursday. Friday, I was just absolutely sad. But then after that, you kind of go, you're just waiting for that next game to play so you can sort of rectify your wrongdoings from that St Kilda game. And I bet you that's how the boys are feeling. We're recording this on a Sunday. They trained this morning. I don't know how they trained, but hopefully Fly just absolutely ate them up because there is something, and we talked about this in the last couple of videos, fundamentally wrong with this. Not the club, the team. Just those sloppy skills. Like how you go from a premiership to this is unbeknownst to me. But let's look at this game. So I made some notes about the Lions. So let me get my trusty pen here. All right. So the first game, they lose to Carlton by 1 point. They conceded 11 of the last 14 goals. They were up by about 8 goals or so. They were like 40 or something points up. And then Carlton came back, you know, and well done. Kicked 11 of the last 14 goals. So, and then the next game, they lost to Fremantle. Now, they started off really quickly. In these first 2 games, they started off super quick, kicking goals left, right, and centre. That Fremantle game, they were up 4 goals to nothing. And then as soon as that sort of happened, Fremantle started kicking a little bit. And then by the end of 3/4 time, the Lions had conceded 11 of the last 12 goals. So first quarter, they kicked 4 goals. Second quarter, they kicked no goals. Third quarter, they kicked 1 goal. So you can see that a little bit of a pattern in those first 2 games is that they start off like a horse on Melbourne Cup right out of the blocks really quickly, really fast football and attacking football and good football. And then it's almost like they just put on the brakes, and you can see that Carlton and Fremantle both went on a sort of an 11-goal run where they only conceded, well, Fremantle conceded 1 goal in that 11-goal run, and then Carlton only conceded 3 goals when they kicked 11 of the last 14 goals. So when other teams sort of get on the run, Brisbane are sort of pegged back into their corner, and they just can't get their game going. But when they do get their game going, you know, Neil in that first game was great. Danaher and Hipwood always give us trouble, especially fucking Danaher. Danaher, I feel like, look, I don't watch a lot of Brisbane games and I didn't watch a lot of Essendon games, but I feel like Danaher loves playing against us. And whenever he does, it's just prime Buddy Franklin, prime Tony Lockett, prime fucking Gordon Coventry. He comes out and kicks 3 or 4 goals. So if he kicks 3 or 4 goals, that is what it is. That's just the Danaher Collingwood curse. So that's going to be a bit. But Bailey, Dunkley will come back and do their sort of job as well. The thing with this game, though, and I sort of talked about it a little bit, the fixturing is, for lack of a better term, I was going to say the F word, but I'm not going to. For lack of a better term, it's cooked, right? So we started our season at the Giants stadium. By the time we get to the St Kilda game, we've played 3 games in 12 days. So by the time we get to the Brisbane game, that'll be 4 games in, quick math says 19 days. But Brisbane, after the Fremantle game, they had a bye because they played the opening round, right, against Carlton. So they had a bye / 12-day break. So they're going to come into this game really, really, really fresh. Duday, is it Duday or Doherty? I think it's Duday. The guy that they got from Adelaide makes a return. And it's a weird sliding doors moment because we wanted him. We really wanted him to cover Nathan Murphy, and now look what's happened. Like, he would have been elite if he had joined the Pies, but decides to go to fucking Brisbane for some reason. So he goes to Brisbane. He makes a return, but they've got Gardiner out, a good defender, and they've got McKenna. They're running halfback, and of course Coleman as well, Kitty Coleman, with that insane ACL from that first game. So they've got a couple of outs, but they do bring Doty back. I don't know who else they sort of bring in at the moment. But Brisbane, we know what they're going to bring, right? Based on those last 2 games, we know that they're going to come hard out of the blocks. They are going to blitz us in the first bit. It's all about sustaining that and conceding as little as you can. Now, Hipwood, Danaher, Bailey, when he drifts up there, our backmen are going to have their work cut out for him. The beauty about that is Billy Franzen played a really good game last week against the Saints, so he'll stay in the back line. Probably doesn't go on Danaher. I think he might get the job on Hipwood. I think Darcy Moore is a better match for Danaher. But in saying that, none of these backs, besides Billy Frampton, have really shown us that they... What am I trying to say? Like, they haven't really shown us that they want to take their game to the next level. They're just kind of doing a little bit of nice things, but they're just not themselves. That's probably what the words that I'm sort of looking for. They're just not themselves. The team isn't themselves. Now, you know, if you had told me at the start of the year, you know, if I was previewing this game at the start of the year, I'd be talking about the grand final. I'll be saying, now you remember the grand final, you know, Zach Bailey kicked those, you know, 2 goals and then, you know, McCarthy did this and, you know, we played Billy Frampton on Harris Andrews, who was really dangerous, and we did this and blah, 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 blah. But that doesn't matter at all now. We have to clear that from our mind only because we are both absolutely shocking and shit house this season to begin with. The bright notes for Collingwood, though, on the flip side, is that crap against Giants, mediocre against Sydney, and then I want to say maybe 65-35 against St Kilda. There were patches where we showed the old Collingwood. 4 goals in the second quarter. I think we went on a run of 3 goals in the last quarter. Running, handballing up the corridor. We were doing really good stuff, really good things. But then it's the little things that sort of were our undoing, our handballing into someone's head, half-ass spoils going down the back. We left Higgins open for 3 of his 4 goals. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things about this team at the moment that are personnel based, yes, but should be a really quick fix. You know, like spoiling when you can mark, half-ass spoils, manning up. Like, if you sort of watch, and Fagan was watching that game. He was at the Brisbane St Kilda game. Collingwood St Kilda game. But if you can just tidy up those little things and get confidence back. I think this game is all about getting our confidence back and getting our sort of mojo back. And obviously that comes in turn with getting our season back on track. It's hard because, you know, Pendlebury has had a down few days. Isaac Quaynor, Nick Dacos didn't have a good game, but started off the season really well. Jeremy Howe. I can probably just rattle on and talk about all these players that haven't been good. But the thing is, we can't, and this is probably I'm going to touch wood. We can't get any worse, right? We can only improve and we can only get better. Fly was as frustrated as I had seen him at the end of the day when he was doing his presser. So I think he's going to absolutely set a fire under these guys. And we do travel well. I know that first game we didn't travel bloody well. But we do tend to travel well interstate. the Gabba is a bit of a fortress, but we could see that Carlton did break Brisbane. And by that sort of pattern, like I just mentioned before, if we get on a little bit of a run, Brisbane will retreat back into their shell, and we should be able to get back on top. The Harris Andrews thing is going to be a little bit weird. I don't know if they wouldn't put Billy Frampton on him. They might, maybe, like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's a Reef type that plays a bit more of a defensive role, or do they chuck Jeremy Howe down back like they did when we played him at Marvel in round 22 or whatever it was, sort of last season. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that sort of plays out. But this game, there's not much really to talk about besides the fact that it does give us another opportunity to prove that, these guys are hungry. Like they always say, we'll flick a switch. We're hungry. Back to work. This, that, bang, 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 bang. And we just haven't seen it. So this gives them a chance to show us, the 19th man, that they are hungry and they do want to go, maybe not back to back now, but they do want to show something, and that wasn't just a flash in the pan last season. I think that's what I'm most afraid of. That last season was just a flash in the pan, but then you think like it can't be, right? It absolutely can't be a flash in the pan, because you hear stories of how we're coming back, we're hitting PBs in the gym. This is the most running we've ever done. Everyone's faster, everyone's fitter. So how the fuck are we playing like we're playing? And it is really annoying. But I can see that this week things might change. Not might change. I think they will change a little bit. And if we go 0-4, then we go 0-4. But I think backs against the wall, this game is gonna mean a lot more than these last 3 games are, and we're gonna come out and beat Brisbane. Now, my big calls and predictions. I think my big call and my prediction are going to be the same, because I think Collingwood are going to win by a point. I think it's going to be a really close game, a really fumbly game. I think that we're going to see more hunger than we have in the last 3 weeks. We're going to see probably the same amount of fumbles. But we're going to see more hunger. We're going to see more intent. But I do think we only win by less than a goal, and that's 1 point. Who would I bring in and out for this game, though? Like, it's hard. Steele Sullivan had probably his worst game of his career against the Saints, but I don't see mass changes. I do think John Noble comes into the side and Markov comes out of the side. He was the sub that Finlay McRae came on for. I think they give Finlay a go right from the top. What I think happens, what I would like to see happen personally, is Finlay starts the game, starts in the middle. Markov comes out of the side. John Noble goes into the side. He starts as the sub. Nick Dacos, as much as I love him in the middle, he goes to half back, and we need him taking kickouts because we're very stagnant in kickouts. We're not exciting off the half back line anymore. We're not breaking lines. So I need Nick Dacos in the half back line, sort of that quarterback role that we like to see Scott Pendlebury in, and maybe even move Scott Pendlebury into the half back line. We just need stability and a leader down there that's good with the ball. And that's Nick Dacos, that's Scott Pendlebury. So a couple of positional changes I would like to see. But that's probably my ins and outs. Don't reinvent the wheel because we're not going that good, and don't bring 1,000 guys on. I think we'll be fine. But anyway, guys, that's just been my preview for the grand final rematch / season on the line match. Let me know your thoughts down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tay family, tay friends, tay pets, and I'll see you next time. Double shaggers. I'll swoop you later.